Coming up on today's show, we're exploring an exciting topic that intersects plastic material science and public health, and that is the use of antimicrobial additives in plastics. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Kurt Stahle, that plastics guy. If this is your first time joining me, well, thank you very much. And here is where I share almost 4 decades of plastics industry experience with you. Today I'm on my own, and sometimes I might have a guest or two. I educate, share stories, showcase innovative products, and always discuss the topics and trends that affect our industry. Today's podcast is sponsored by Fresh Start Polymers, compounders of commercial purging compound for all types of resins and processes, and of course by my company, Simco Plastics Limited, where we truly have a passion for polymers. You can visit us at simcoplastics.com or contact us at info@simcoplastics.com. Today we're looking at antimicrobial types, how these antimicrobials work, where they're used, the benefits they bring, and some of the concerns surrounding them. So let's get started. First of all, what are they? Simply put, these are chemical agents incorporated into plastic materials to inhibit the growth of microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, mold, and/or viruses. These additives can be made from a variety of chemical compounds, including, but not limited to, silver ions, one of the oldest and most widely used of antimicrobial agents. Zinc pyrithione, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, often used for its broad spectrum effectiveness and used in the treatment of dandruff, among other things. Organic compounds like triclosan, although their use has decreased due to safety and environmental concerns. I encourage you to Google it. Triclosan, Triclosan, and you can look at the Canadian government website page, specifically discussing triclosan, and its use is capped in mouthwashes, non-prescription drugs, cosmetics, and other natural health products. And lastly, copper oxide, an agrochemical. Copper oxide is an approved pesticide, active substance in the European Union. Copper in general is a powerful antimicrobial and can even be used in anti-fouling paint for marine applications, boat hulls, although this has been banned in Canada, I believe, for a year now. So conceptually, the idea is to create a plastic surface that is less hospitable to microbes, actively forcing their demise, and as a result, improving hygiene and durability in a wide range of applications. So, segue into applications. I'm going to give you a few examples. First, in healthcare settings. In hospitals, antimicrobial plastics are used in medical devices, device housing, surgical tools, and even hospital and other types of commercial and institutional furniture. They help reduce the risk of secondary infections, especially in environments where sterility is critical. Now, of course, in a hospital, you could argue all environments are, it's critical, they're all sterile, but things like an operating theater, a recovery room, perhaps an oncology environment, these are areas where you certainly do not want the threat of a secondary infection. And what do I mean by that? Someone, say, for example, fresh out of surgery, they're recovering well, but they still have a surgical wound. This is a point of entry for microbes, bacteria, whatever the case, to come into the body and wreak havoc. And these are the types of things that we would want to avoid. Consumer products. Think of things like cutting boards, not implying that cutting boards have antimicrobial, not all of them anyway. Food containers, and even think cell phone cases or the protective backs that you put on your cell phone in the event you drop them. These products would all benefit from antimicrobial properties to keep bacteria at bay and reduce odors and possibly stains. Public spaces, think more along the lines of architectural elements. Think handrails, elevator buttons, escalator railing, door handles. These are all applications that are especially relevant in high traffic areas where germs contact can spread very quickly. So imagine all these high touch places in public, public architecture, public spaces. If we could treat these surfaces with a substance that would actively kill bacteria, because these are spots where, depending on where we're talking about, tens of thousands of people touch these spots every day. And I think there's some benefit there. Industrial use. In manufacturing and packaging, antimicrobial plastics are used to extend the shelf life of products and maintain cleanliness during production. Now, of course, if you're in a food preparation plant, lots of stainless steel, it's cleaned constantly with antimicrobial cleaners. I understand that. But let's think about something along the lines of food packaging. If you have an antimicrobial, and we're talking about something very safe, not aggressive, it can't damage the food, but I've seen it personally, test data that would suggest, well, the one specific antimicrobial that I'm thinking of extended food in that plastic packaging. It extended the life of the food by almost a month, and that was without the aid of refrigeration or other things. This is simply creating a plastic surface that actively kills mold, bacteria, fungus, viruses, etc. Plastic by itself neither supports nor actively kills bacteria. It's just a neutral, inert surface. So we have to add something to it to give it, the kill properties. And I've seen it. It does work. It is a possibility. Now, how do they work? Well, what do we have here? We've got three basic methods by which these antimicrobial agents kill what they're designed to kill. First of all, cell membrane disruption. Some additives will break down the actual cell walls or membranes of the microbes, effectively killing them. So you're creating a situation where the defense mechanism of the microbe is compromised and it succumbs to other threats from the outside world. So it's kind of an ironic way of dealing with it, but that is one way of dealing with it. Second, we have the interruption of reproduction. So other antimicrobial products prevent the microbes from actually reproducing, stopping their spread. They may not immediately kill or destroy, but they prevent them from reproducing. So once the microbe reaches its lifespan, however long that is, if it's 4 hours, 5 hours, 10 minutes, whatever the case, they're done at that point in time. And lastly, you've got the inhibition of the metabolic process. So additives like silver ions bind to enzymes or proteins in the microbes, disrupting their metabolic activity and leading to death. It doesn't compromise the cell wall. It just compromises their ability to exist, for lack of a better way of putting it. Now, what's fascinating is that these mechanisms often work continuously, offering long-lasting protection. For example, silver ions are released gradually over time, ensuring the antimicrobial effect persists for years. And of course, the environment that these parts that are treated with an antimicrobial agent, that will certainly affect their efficacy over time. If you're in an extreme temperature environment, or perhaps, I don't know, underwater, there's only so much that these things can do, but they can still be effective if formulated for those specific environments. So the benefits, well, the first, and I'm a strong believer in this, it's improved hygiene. Reducing microbial growth on surfaces simply lowers the risk of contamination and infection. Folks, this is why we clean our countertops with products like Windex or something equivalent. We're trying to kill microbial growth. We're not just cleaning the dust. We're trying to kill the things that are on there that may contaminate food or other things that we have on our countertops. So if we actually gave the countertops themselves, hypothetically, the ability to kill the bacteria, then you really would just be cleaning them for the sake of the cosmetic factor. But this is one of the things we can do: improved hygiene. Extended product life. By preventing mold and mildew, various plastics can resist degradation and last longer. So if you have green mold, green mildew on a plastic part, think vinyl siding, for example, there are many things that would contribute to the degradation of vinyl siding, most notably being UV damage. But if you have constant moisture and something growing on it, that is going to be another factor that accelerates the demise of an exterior plastic item. So if we create them to be antimicrobial, these surfaces, that's one less thing that's going to contribute to the premature end of life cycle of the plastic that we're talking about. We keep the plastic out of the landfill longer, and in this case, we would keep a homeowner a lot happier for longer because we've slowed the decay of a key building element. Convenience. For consumers, antimicrobial products are easier to clean and maintain. You're not scrubbing the green or the black nonsense off of them because the item that you bought that has this capability is doing it for you. So instead of an aggressive clean, maybe it's the type of thing where you can clean with soap and water, and it just becomes much easier to look after. And this technology exists. There's nothing particularly unusual about this. The limitations. Of course, number one is cost. Adding antimicrobial agents increases production costs, which can make these products more expensive for consumers. I will say, while there's a cost involved, it is not proportionate to the end retail price. I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of markup involved for the value that these things bring versus just the cost plus position that they add to the product in question. A resistance concern. There's ongoing debate about whether widespread use of antimicrobials could contribute to a microbial resistance. I think the same argument could be made for antibiotic, that we end up creating a generation of superbugs that become resistant to these, very important family of medications. Is it possible to do the same thing with an antimicrobial? I suppose over time. I haven't personally seen test data myself, not to say it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it, but I think it's a fair argument. And lastly, and probably this is the most significant impact, and that's the environmental impact. Some additives, particularly organic compounds, like I mentioned, triclosan, have raised concerns about their safety and environmental persistence. Unfortunately, some of these things that work very, very well do so because they're very, very aggressive, and we don't really want them to leach out of the product that we've manufactured, and it's a problem. We don't want it to get into our soil, our water, and contaminate, ultimately the foods that we grow in the land or the water that we drink. So we do have to be extraordinarily careful with what we use. And these limitations highlight the need for responsible use and continued research into safer and more sustainable additives. That's the wonderful thing about science and chemistry. We're going to keep advancing. We're going to keep finding new and innovative ways to accomplish what we want to accomplish with, this or any type of family of chemical, and we'll end up doing it, hopefully, in a manner that is less of a threat to health and safety and environment, and still doing so to make it economically viable. So what's the future of antimicrobial plastics? So looking ahead, this field is evolving rapidly for a number of reasons. We have technological developments on one side, we have government regulation and environmental pressures on the other side, and then, of course, we have consumer price pressure on yet another side. So researchers are exploring new and more environmentally friendly additives derived from natural sources, such as plant extracts and peptides. We're also seeing innovations in nanotechnology where nanoparticles like titanium dioxide or copper are used for enhanced antimicrobial properties. The focus is shifting towards materials that balance effectiveness with environmental sustainability, which benefits us all, ensuring that we can continue to innovate responsibly. And that is what we need to do to keep pushing costs down, effectiveness up, and safety way up. And we will continue to do that. As always, there's more to learn and debate, so we encourage you to share your thoughts with us. Are antimicrobial plastics the hygiene solution that we need, or do they raise more questions than answers? I'd love to hear from you, either on the YouTube channel where it's posted or LinkedIn. Reach out to me. Anything you'd like to do, I'd like your feedback. And that's it for today's episode of That Plastics Guy. And, I think we did a fairly, well, it's really it's really a high level review of antimicrobials, but that's fine. We're going to start this conversation at this point, and we'll keep talking about it. And I believe that they really can add tremendous value to the various products our industry makes and improve everyday life. I truly believe that. And again, if you have questions or comments, you can contact me through That Plastics Guy on LinkedIn. If you have suggestions for an episode, please let me know. And maybe one of your suggestions will be a show, or I'll answer one of your questions. I read every comment. I truly do. Please follow Simcoe Plastics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and subscribe to our newsletter through the website. And of course, I'm on LinkedIn personally. By the time this episode airs, we should have a December newsletter well in the works, and it will probably be out, it will be out well before the holiday break, I promise you. Thanks again for listening. Take care, and bye for now.